just quiet down a little bit, that'd be really great. Hey guys. Oh. Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Hey, I'm Maleah. Riley's over there, as usual.
Hey.
But today I'm doing another girl talk video. I'm doing a Q&A this time, just answering questions about my life, his life, our relationship, and just anything that you wanted to know. I realized I never did like a get to know us kind of video, so I wanted to do it this way. So if you want to watch the video, get in your comfy clothes. I stole his, so sorry I'm not looking very cute.
Stole my shirt.
Let's get into the video. These two first questions are like have a whole bunch of questions inside the little bubble I gave them, so I'm just gonna go through and answer these in her two questions. Okay, so the first question I would answer was this one, and it was, do you go to school or do you work? And right now I do work. I graduated high school early. I ended up finishing in November of last year. I'm finishing my senior year, so I just got all of that done and ended up having to get my GED from moving and stuff like that and being homeschooled, and I couldn't just hop into my senior year in high school because I needed all these credits that I didn't have from being homeschooled. So I just graduated early, did all my stuff, and I got my GED, and I moved back here and I got a job, and I work full-time technically. I dropped to 1 day, so it's 4 days a week, but that was just because I also had to pay for parking here, so, and it's $10, so every time I went to work it was like $40 a week, and that time I did 5 days it was $50, so I just went down a little bit, and that's the only reason why I went down from 5 days. But I do work full-time, but during quarantine I've just been home, and this has kind of been my little full-time job. So what do our families do on the island? My parents are just in the army. They're stationed here, and they're about to move at the end of this year. I'll obviously be staying here. And Riley's mom's a flight attendant here, so she's gone a lot of time when, you know, all this isn't happening. And that's about it. His dad doesn't live here anymore, so he's just okay.
My daddy.
He lives in Washington, but he doesn't, I don't know if that was part of the question because he isn't technically here, but I don't know what he does. What does your dad do?
He's very high up in a phone sales company.
Yes,
selling
I knew
phones,
that.
Selling phones and providers. What is that called? Phone providers, service providers?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. Her next question was about my confidence. I don't feel like I have any. I'm working on that still a lot of the time, but thank you, that's a nice compliment. But yeah, I don't really know how to answer that question. I just keep trying. And then her next section of questions, just will my parents ever visit? Probably not, just because they're ready to get off the island, and they're actually about to move to Texas, so they'll be back on the mainland, and they've just been here for so long. I just think that if anyone was gonna visit, then it'd have to be me going over to them, and it's just really expensive to get out here, especially when you have a baby and 3 kids and a dog to worry about back home, and then it's just a whole mess. So probably not, but it's fine.
Oh shoot, I need my phone. I would like my phone. I need to look up how this guy precisely builds his character, because I need to copy his build. I like it a lot. Real quick. Intermission, baby.
Can I have your phone, please?
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Can you catch, please?
Can you throw? And the last question in her 2 little bubbles was, how did we meet? Riley and I worked at the same job when I was 17. It was my first job ever. We didn't work in the same spot technically. We were on 2 different bosses, but he did have to walk past me for like his lunch breaks and some of his job and his first little work area he was in. And at our job, he ended up switching like departments, I guess technically. But in the first one, he did have to like walk past me and be around me outside a little bit more, and that's how I saw him. And then he decided to talk to me one day, and then this happened. Okay, next question was, how do my parents feel about me living with my boyfriend at 18? it's not their favorite, honestly, because like my parents always had like really big like dreams for me to go like to college and do all this other stuff, and keep moving with them for a while and experience like more duty stations, things like that. So when I decided to do this, it was not exactly what they wanted to hear, but it was definitely what I wanted to do and what I felt like was best for my life and happiness and time right now. So I moved in with him, and his mom ended up letting me come stay with them, which was really sweet and nice and meant a lot to both of us. But yeah, they're just, the only thing that they're worried about is that they just don't want to be moving around, and then if something were to happen with like me and Riley and we broke up, I would be really far away and just things like that, you know, normal parental concerns. So my advice side of that would be just to be really sure that you guys are really intentional about each other, and that if in the foreseeable future you did feel like you could break up, obviously me and Riley could, but if we would never break up over like bad terms or anything where he would like kick me out or anything like that. And I know there's something, if we broke up on a mutual agreement or just something like that, or if anything like that happened, you know, he would still be like helping me get to where I needed to be, because we still, you know, like each other and all. So just be sure that the person that you're about to have start a life with is just not gonna end up being an asshole one day. Because like I said, that's basically all my parents are concerned about, is just them being so far away if something were to happen. Just keep that in mind as you are transitioning into moving in with him, and to be really sure that it's what you want and that you can see it working with your goals and stuff you want to do in your own life too. The next question also being like, did my parents not want me to? Just going back to what I said earlier, they did want me to go to college and kind of get myself situated before I entered a serious relationship. In case something did happen, I would be able to take care of myself and just handle things. So they were a little bit concerned on that end, but they do honestly really know that like Riley would never do anything to like hurt me or anything like that, so they aren't concerned in that way. Next question was, how high should a girl's standards be? I think honestly pretty high. I know some girls that have like completely unrealistically high standards for not even just a guy on the inside, but also their physical standards. I feel like it's something like a lot of girls have to like get over, is that, you know, not every guy is gonna look like, I don't know, whatever social media person you could be like freaking out about the time. I just know like from my friends that's something that they have a big problem with. So I feel like just also tweaking your standards in that way is really good. I don't think you should ever run through any red flags or settle for anyone just because, you know, they're accessible in there right now. Obviously, because I'm so young and I'm in such a serious relationship, some people feel that way about, you know, how me and Riley are right now. So I think characteristically your standards should be very high for your significant other. You should always try to find someone that fits you. And I know like a lot of people say like you should find someone that matches like your best friend or your dad, and honestly in some ways Riley hits both those things, if I'm being really honest with you, which he does not like to hear, just because, you know, my best friend and my best friend are really similar, honestly, and they both can't like stand each other. But I definitely think you shouldn't settle for someone just because they're there and accessible to you and you can have a boyfriend right in that moment, or a girlfriend. But I think you should always hold them to a really high standard and have someone that you're going to be proud to introduce to your family and your friends, and just to have as call it yours. I definitely think you shouldn't push away little red flags or things that kind of make you feel off about the person. Like, he's kind of mean to me sometimes, but he's really cute, or just little things like that. Like, you make little excuses for them all day long. I think that isn't something that you should really think about for a long time before you make any big commitments, even like moving in with someone, because you're basically just turning yourself to them, and there's a lot of things that can go on like behind closed doors that you might not be aware of, like as you're dating separately, like you live in one house and he lives in the other. So I think your standards should be very high, because they can have a lot of repercussions throughout later in your relationship. If you push away little red flags or just little things you don't like about that person, they can end up festering over later on down the road. But I know there's a difference between having high standards and then unrealistic standards. I feel like if you are able to like talk to guys and then you're able to just kind of push them away, and like they do like the smallest thing wrong and you're like, I have higher standards than that, then that's a little too much. I feel like holding someone to a standard of treating you the absolute best, and especially it helps when you know your own worth too and know how you should be treated, I think those can never be too high.
Amen.
I don't even know what I just said.
Amen.
Next question. Oh my god, this one's so easy. Other ones are kind of scaring me, but how did I know Riley was the one? That's so easy. Okay, so when we first started dating, I was just always noticing like little things he would do that would just make me feel like he is thinking about me and like my feelings and how to treat me better every single time we're together. I just noticed like not that I could pick out literally anything wrong with him, but I just always noticed that he's like always trying to just show me how much he loves and cares about me, and he still does, and it's been almost a year and a half next month. So that was my first like really big sign that I wanted to spend a lot of time with this person and hopefully a lot of years with him. Also, when I was watching him with like my siblings and his nieces and nephews, and just, well, he really doesn't like kids.
I was good with your brothers.
Yes. When I was watching them with my brothers, both of my brothers are, I mean, of course, to me, they're annoying. I love them a lot, but I don't know. That was just something I was really nervous about because my youngest brother, Caleb, has autism. So growing up, he really was just always talking, and he still does that now. But he just doesn't know like social boundaries that well. So I was really nervous when Riley was meeting them for the first time that Caleb and my other brother were just gonna kind of overwhelm him. Okay, I also wanted to say, in terms of my youngest brother, I don't want anyone to get confused. I'm not saying that I was like embarrassed of him or how like he would react with Riley. It was just a really big thing for me that when Riley was going and meeting my brothers, that he would be very, 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 very patient with not just Caleb, but both my brothers. And it just meant a lot to me that he was very, just very loving and patient with them, and actually wanted to interact with them, and like I'll say later, treated them very well, and not just like my little brothers and wanting to get away from them. So that meant a lot to me, and I just wanted to clarify that was what I was saying. I just wanted to make sure that no one was confused, because it kind of sounded that when I was rewatching it. I don't know, I could be just critical of myself, but just want to make that clear. And they're very, very attached to me as well. So I was just really wanting like all of them to like each other a lot. And so when they first hung out together, we were going to the mall, and I remember that I had to go.
They came to the ship, right?
Oh yeah.
And I brought them pizza.
Oh yeah.
I brought them pizza, that's why they love me.
That was same day, but early on in the day. That was the very first time they met each other. And I remember that Carter told me that he like really liked you, and he's like, he picks good pizza. Because I wanted to go meet Riley for his lunch break, and I took my brothers and me because I was also watching them, and he brought them pizza. And my youngest brother was just really, really excited to meet him because he's so social. And then my brother Carter, he was just kind of like, it's a guy, my sister, but then when Riley brought them pizza, they like automatically loved him. And then later on in the day, we ended up going to the mall. We're gonna take them to go play the arcade. And this is like me and Riley's second datey-ish thing. So I was kind of glad that like early on also I was getting to see how he interacted with my brothers, because I'm very protective over them. So I really wanted someone who would mesh with them and treat them well. And they all ended up working out really well together, and they played a bunch of games, and Riley bought them tons of little like tokeny thingies to play the arcade with. I felt like every time I turned around, he was like pulling out his credit card and like putting it back in the thing and refilling their little swipey card thingies to play more games. And they just loved him, and he was really nice and wanted to include them on things. He wasn't just like pushing them away like it's his girlfriend's little brothers, and just trying to like, I also didn't feel like he was just trying to like distract them so that he could spend more time. I feel like he was like genuinely like hanging out with them. So I thought that was really cool. And that was something that really showed me that he was someone that I definitely wanted to be with for a long time, because my brothers mean a lot to me. But the big thing for me, like I said before, was just that he always, always, always tries to remind me and show me how much he loves and cares about me. And that was just the biggest thing ever to me. And I don't know, he just genuinely like always puts me like first. He's always thinking about like us, and I don't know, just something so sweet. And I hadn't seen that in other guys that are, out there in the world, you know what I'm saying? So that was just a really big thing to me that I had to snag them up. I had to take them. I did. Okay, y'all, so that was all the questions that I had. A lot of them were very similar, but those were the ones I could pick out and answer separately from everything else. If I didn't get your question, I'm really sorry. Like I said, a lot of them were kind of the same, so I just picked one and answered it generally for everyone's question. That was kind of the same ballpark. But I hope you liked this video. If you did, like it down below. Comment what videos you would like to see, if you like videos like these. I really love doing Q&As, so I'm gonna be doing one very soon and more about Riley and getting him in here too. So I hope you stick around for that. But anyways, I'll see you guys later. Subscribe down below. And yeah. Anything to say?
Whoa.